Bill?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to listen to me.
Now what?
Do you know what day tomorrow is?
Sure. Saturday comes right after Friday every week.
Don't you remember what you promised?
No, what?
You promised to go downtown with me and get yourself a new suit.
Now, look here.
Now, there's no use arguing. After all, you have to meet people. And what you're trying to sell them is better appearance. And yet you go around looking like a tramp.
Tell you, I don't need a new suit.
Bill, you promised.
But honestly, May, you know as well as I do that I don't really need a new suit any more than...
Good afternoon. Something for you?
Well, I don't know.
Yes, my husband wants to look at a gray suit, double-breasted.
Sure. What about a good dark blue?
I want you in gray.
Just try this for size.
But you simply must have shoes with your new suit.
Suppose you try this for size.
You need another hat.
Now, if you'll just try this for size.
Hello, Harry.
Hmm? Oh, hello, sis.
Get cleaned up now. You'll just have time before dinner.
Don't tell me it's Christmas.
May's been buying me a lot of clothes I don't need.
Well, why'd you buy them?
Try this for size. Try that for size. That's all I've heard. When you do put on something new, well, you just can't help going for it.
That, my dear brother-in-law, is what is known as salesmanship.
I'll say it is. Better than $50 worth.
But just think how you're going to knock them dead with the new scenery.
What gets me about the whole thing is this. Those clerks don't really sell anything. They just make it hard for the customer not to buy. I try on a new coat and I'm sold. You know, Harry, there ought to be some way our customers could try on a coat of paint.
Just give me a handful of color cards. I'll get along all right.
Now, I'm thinking about Mrs. Wentworth.
Who's she?
She's a widow around 50, plenty of dough, lives in a big house up on the hill, and I heard this morning she's going to do over the whole place. She'll probably want a lot of fancy ideas. I just don't know how to go after a job like that.
Simplest thing in the world. Just turn on the smile and tell her how young she's looking. Want me to take a shot at it?
I don't know what to do about it. Certainly would like that job. Hello? Oh, hello, Johnny. No, I haven't forgotten. I'll be there. Okay. That was Johnny Greaves calling to remind me of the Sherwin-Williams meeting Monday night. Want to go?
What for? We know how good Sherwin-Williams paints are. We've used enough of them. Don't they cover the earth? Why waste an evening listening to a lot of gab that says the same thing?
Nowadays, we need more than good paint. Johnny tells me they're bringing out a new color book they're going to show at the meeting.
Oh, just another factory gadget. Besides, that's the night we always bowl.
I kind of think maybe I'll go.
You boys better hurry up and wash. Supper will be ready in a few minutes.
Be right with you, May.
As Bill prepares to attend the meeting, he is wondering what this new Sherwin-Williams color book can be. For he, like many another painter, has felt the need for something that would help his customers to visualize what the proper use of color can accomplish in transforming their homes.
Bill, you're positively handsome.
Oh, behave yourself.
Why, you're almost pretty.
Will you stop it?
Now have a good time, and be sure to remember what Mr. Sherwin and Mr. Williams say about your new suit.
Certainly is a funny war so far, isn't it?
I don't believe the Germans will ever be able to get through the Maginot Line and into France.
I agree with you.
But if the Democrats don't run him for a third term, who have they got?
They'll never win with Garner.
It looks now as though Jim Farley's against the third term.
So the farmer rattled the door of the chicken coop, and he says, "Who's in there?" And the feller says, "There ain't nobody here, boss, but us chickens." Fellas, we're glad to have you here. I want to make it clear right at the beginning that we're not going to tell you how to run your business. Now let me present Tom Wendover of the Sherwin-Williams Company. Most of you men know Tom, and I can promise you that he has a genuine surprise for you this evening. All right, Tom.
Thanks, Johnny. Fellows, I do have a surprise for you, and it's something so important that I'd like to get right at it, without even stopping to tell Johnny he set out a fine dinner and that I'm mighty glad to be here. I'm going to show you the world's greatest business getter. Gentlemen, I am proud to present the Sherwin-Williams Paint and Color Style Guide.
May, I'm back.
Well, how was the meeting?
Pretty good. I'm glad I went.
What's that? A style guide? Don't tell me you're going to buy some more clothes. What, Bill?
Now, May, this is the new color book that Sherwin-Williams has brought out.
Oh, let's see. Bill, it's beautiful. Look at that perfectly darling dining room. Oh, what a dream of a kitchen.
It's a mighty swell book, all right.
Why, there isn't a woman living who wouldn't want to do over her entire home if she saw this book. Now, that's just the Davenport I want. And think how those drapes would look in this room.
Wait a minute. Hold your horses.
I'm going to a ladies' aid meeting at the church tomorrow, and I'd like to take this book along, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
They'll go crazy about it. I know. They'll simply go crazy.
No wonder Bill's wife is excited. Of course, she's seen pictures in the magazines of interiors. But the style guide shows the details of a room, rugs and draperies and furniture. Then, too, these are natural color photographs of actual homes, not just drawings. Furthermore, they're so big and eye-filling that you can place yourself right in the room. No wonder every woman is delighted with the style guide as soon as she sees it.
Why, Joe, that's just what we've been looking for.
How are you, Bill?
First rate, Johnny. I find I need an extra 5 of flat tone.
Sure thing.
Morning, Bill. How'd you enjoy the party last night?
Oh, the party was all right. But that book certainly gave my wife a lot of expensive ideas.
Just a minute while I see what this young couple wants. Good morning.
Good morning.
May I help you?
Yes, we're remodeling our house and looking for some ideas on decorating.
May we see that book in the window?
Certainly. Step right over here.
Thank you.
May's got more darned ideas for fixing up the house. She's certainly excited about that style guide.
Well, there you are. If it works like that with your wife, Bill, think what it will do when you show it to the wives of your customers.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Anyway, I'm going to try it.
Bill, how would you like to do over an entire house, inside and out?
Just lead me to it.
Come on. Mr. and Mrs. Gilbert, this is Bill Newcomb.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I've known Bill for years, and I don't believe there's a better man in town to do your work.
Well, thanks, Johnny. I always try to turn out a satisfactory job.
Furthermore, Bill has a style guide of his own. There's a combination that's hard to beat. A good painter and this book.
There's so many color ideas here, Mr. Newcomb. I'm sure we're going to find exactly what we want.
Is Bill warming up to the style guide a little?
Looks as though that young couple are simply going to make him go to work for them.
I wouldn't have believed it. Why, that's handing you a job on a platter. Mind if I use your phone, Johnny?
Go right ahead, Bill. Suppose I let you take home a copy of the style guide.
Oh, will you do that?
Why, certainly.
We were a little afraid to ask.
Did Harry get anywhere on that big job for Mrs. Wentworth? He didn't, did he? May, I'm going over there tonight, and it'll be a different story.
I remember now hearing about your style guide on the radio Sunday evening.
Good. I've loaned the Gilberts a style guide for them to look over.
That's fine. Suppose I drop in later in the week.
Sure. We ought to know exactly what we want by that time. Well, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, folks. Now, how do you feel about our picture book?
Listen, Johnny, I've got to have another one of those books right now. May.
Bill Newcomb, you never saw anything like it. Just as I said, the ladies at the church simply raved over that book. Why, it was all I could do to get it away from them to bring it home. It's really wonderful, Bill. I'm telling you.
You don't need to tell me. I know. I got a whole house to do this morning, and the style guide turned the trick.
Oh, that's grand.
Now, as soon as I get cleaned up, I'm going over to see Mrs. Wentworth. Oh, yes, Mrs. Wentworth. I can duplicate those colors exactly. You see, on each page, they tell you what particular Sherwin-Williams paint to use.
Well, this really solves my entire problem. You see, I have 5 bedrooms and 3 bars, and I wish to have each of them distinctive.
There are plenty of color schemes to choose from here.
Yes, I should say there are. And one can actually see how each room is going to look. You know, Mr. Newcomb, there was a painter here this morning, and all he had to show me were those little bits of colored paper. Why, it's almost like asking a woman to buy a hat without trying it on.
I don't suppose he got very far, did he?
He most surely did not. Of all the decorators I've talked to, you're the first one who has brought me anything tangible so that I can actually visualize color schemes for different rooms. I'm going to ask you to leave this book with me.
I'd be glad to. And if it's convenient for you, I'll pick it up Thursday.
Yes. By then, I should know about what I want.
I'll drop in Thursday evening.
Yes.
Goodbye, Miss Wentworth.
Goodbye.
And Mr. Newcomb is now an expert in the eyes of Mrs. Wentworth, for he has been built up to that position by the style guide. Either you know how to do a job or you don't. The style guide visualizes color in a room with authority, and it continues to talk back to the customer after the painter is talked out.
Now what? You just put those drapes up a week ago.
I know, but I got an idea for doing over this room and the dining room, too, and it all came out of that book.
What book?
You should have heard them at the Ladies' Aid this afternoon. What a book. And Bill got a whole house to do just on account of it.
On account of a book?
Uh-huh.
Doesn't make sense to me. But now you take that Mrs. Wentworth.
What do you mean, you take Mrs. Wentworth? I took Mrs. Wentworth and I put it over with this.
Let me see this magic book. I still don't believe it.
Well?
Well, that's it. That's just what we've always needed. Don't you see, Bill? Now you can try on a coat of paint.
That's right. Mrs. Wentworth, just try this for color.
Here we are in the slow season, but we can create jobs by getting people steamed up with this style guide.
And we have a better chance of getting a good price, too. Look how it worked with Mrs. Wentworth.
Oh, Bill, I almost forgot. Mrs. Alden called today. She wants to talk to you about painting her kitchen.
Mrs. Alden? I'll take time off the job tomorrow and go and see her. See, Mrs. Alden, how many attractive color schemes there are?
Yes, indeed. They're all so pretty, it's hard to decide. Oh, what a lovely dining room.
Those windows look a good deal like yours.
Yes, they do.
While my men are right here in the house, why not do your dining room and living room?
Well, the kitchen was all we were planning on at this time.
I want to tell you about an experience I had the other day. I bought a new suit, and then my wife decided I had to have new shoes and a hat to go with it.
Well, the same thing has happened to us.
Well, that's why I'm suggesting you do the other rooms, so they'll be just as fresh and bright as the kitchen.
Well, the way things are right now.
You don't have to pay for it all at once. Perhaps you don't know that you can use the easy payment plan with painting and decorating just as you do with a refrigerator or a fur coat.
Is that so? Oh, I'd love to have those rooms done now.
Well, suppose I leave the style guide with you. Then I'll be around tonight and we'll talk it over with your husband. And so I left the style guide with her.
Poor Mrs. Alden, I know just how she feels, dissatisfied with every room in the house.
And to think we've been trying to get along with conversation and color cards all these years.
I'll know if it works in another half hour. After supper, I'm going back to talk to Mr. Alden. It'll cost you a lot less, Mr. Alden, if I can do the work while I have my men and equipment right here in the house.
Yes, I suppose it would.
It would be a lot easier for me, too, if we could do it all at once.
As I was telling Mrs. Alden, we can arrange it so $8 or $10 a month will take care of it.
Well, I see how it figures out.
Suppose we start with the front hall.
All right, front hall.
Bill kept mighty busy through the slow season, and now in the spring we find him preparing to make several jobs grow out of one job.
What in the world are you writing?
It's an idea I picked up at the Sherwin-Williams meeting, and I thought I'd try it out. You leave these folders at a dozen houses in the neighborhood of one of our jobs. They call attention to our work, which gives me a swell opening to go around a day or two later with a style guide.
We're getting more telephone calls than we used to. Harry's out now calling on a Mrs. Reeves.
Then we may decide on this room, Mrs. Reeves.
Yes, I like the walls very much. But of course this room has a red rug. Well, maybe sort of maroon. And my rug is taupe. On the other hand, oh, this is delightful. But how will the color on that wall go with my slip covers that have a dash of rose in them? You could see my difficulty. Naturally, I can't give away my rug and burn my furniture up, now can I? Oh, you will give me your advice, won't you? Or will you? Or can you?
Well, Mrs.
They
Reeves.
say taupe goes with everything. Oh, but does it? Or doesn't it?
Well, now, you must consider...
Now, there's just one more thing.
Yes, Mrs. Reeves?
You see, I have a dog.
Oh, man's best friend, I always say.
Oh, isn't it the truth? Now, you see, the colors must be in harmony with Casper.
Well, what kind of a dog is Casper?
Well, you might say he's a tall dog. Like that.
Tall?
Yes, tall. Kind of a, sort of a brindle, so to speak.
Brindle, so to speak. Now, let me see. Brindle, so to speak.
You know, perhaps we'd better let the whole thing go.
Oh, just a minute, Mrs. Reeves.
Here's Bill following up on the neighborhood folders. Let's see how good a job the style guide does as a door opener.
My name is NEWCOMB. I left you a folder telling that we're painting the house next door.
Oh, yes?
If you have a little time, I'd like to show you our style guide with lots of ideas for painting your house.
Well, all right, come in.
Thank you. How do you do? I suppose you've noticed the McIntyre house down the street? I'm NEWCOMB, the contractor who's painting it.
Well, we wouldn't be interested because we've sold our house. We're moving out of town.
I see. Would you mind giving me the name of the new owner?
Not at all. The name is...
Certainly an interesting book. Everybody likes to look at the style guide and picture the improvements they can make. You'd be surprised at the difference in the interior of the McIntyre house down the street.
Yes, a couple of coats of paint certainly brighten up a place.
And you can be sure the quality will be tops because I use Sherwin-Williams. Here's a color scheme that seems to me to be just the thing for your house.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can visualize that. That front door looks different and it's mighty attractive.
Here's another one.
Painters find that men can usually be interested immediately in painting the outside of the house, while women prefer to talk about the interior. And remember, it's the woman of the household who can do the best job of selling paint to the man who pays the bills.
You mark my words, that team will never get anywhere without a couple of new pitchers.
There's some holes in the infield, too, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Here comes the bus. Hi, Bill.
Hiya, boys.
Just in time, draw up the stairs.
How they rolling?
Couldn't be better, Mr. NEWCOMB.
Did you see this in the morning newspaper? There's a new manager at the Hotel Graham, a fellow by the name of Bradwell.
It's a good hunch, Harry. I'll follow it right up. So I thought I'd just stop by Mr. Bradwell and introduce myself.
Mighty glad you did.
I suppose you plan on doing some redecorating.
We've simply got to do some, yes.
You have about 50 rooms, haven't you?
That's right.
I'd like to show you how you can modernize and do a better job of it with paint for less money than any other way I know. Hotel rooms don't have to be so kind of drab and dreary if you don't want them that way. I can show you a variety of color schemes I'm pretty sure you'll go for.
All right, Julia. I'll do the best I can to get you one this week. Goodbye. That was Julia Wright. Her daughter wants a style guide to take to her high school class in domestic science. I've simply got to have one of my very own. The girls from the Ladies' Aid keep calling, and I don't know what to tell them.
You've exposed a lot of people to that style guide in the past few months. I know we've got you to thank for the McIntyre job.
There's Bill.
I hope you saw that new hotel manager.
That's just what I did, and it looks mighty good. I got an order to do 3 rooms, and he asked me to submit a bid on the whole place. That's at least 50 more rooms, and we can take our time with the job.
That was a hot lead, all right.
You bet it was, Harry. Never know where a job's going to turn out.
I was just telling Harry I need a style guide of my own. I get calls all the time from girls who've heard of it and want to see it.
We have 5 now. We'd better get another one.
That's right, Harry. It's an awfully small investment for such big returns. And here's the payoff. We had 7 men working on 3 jobs today.
And just a year ago, the 2 of us were doing practically all the work.
I like to think of those grand books scattered all over town, talking for us.
Yes, and selling for us.
That's why Bill kept his 6 copies in circulation. He knew that they wouldn't get business if they were gathering dust on a shelf. Even while Bill sat at home evenings, he knew the style guide was creating jobs and building him up as an expert. All over town, in big houses and small, people with the pride of home ownership were grateful to Bill for giving them ideas on decoration that they'd never had before. Bill made it a point to have a style guide around when he was working on a job, because it made many new prospects.
Honestly, Kate, it's like a brand new house. Already your dining room looks so much larger. Like everything else, it's all a knowing how.
Every idea we had, we got right out of this wonderful book that Mr. Newcomb loaned us.
Oh. Isn't it lovely? I wonder if I could borrow it. I'd like to show this living room to Dave tonight.
Sure, take it along.
They say that every time we leave a style guide, it's seen by an average of 9 people besides the family.
Well, that's spreading goodwill. Also, it's swell advertising, for it's getting us new customers.
There's another thing it's doing, and that's selling more rooms per job. Remember the Aldens? They started with the kitchen, and see where they went. Jobs that expand the way that one did mean more money in the bank for all of us.
I was thinking today, Bill.
Yes?
Maybe it'd be a good idea if you devoted most of your time to selling.
And quit painting?
Evenings are too short to get all the business lying around.
Why not try it for a week or so anyway?
It's an idea, all right. There are a lot of jobs lying around just waiting to be picked off.
What about builders? They put up a lot of houses and they have to paint them.
You've got something there. I'll go to work on Charlie Benedict. When you build a house, Mr. Benedict, you try to style it so it'll outsell the other fellows in appearance as well as in price and quality. Well, that's where this style guide comes in. There are many unusual color combinations to choose from.
This book would certainly come in handy in my business.
You can borrow one of mine anytime you want it.
Well, I could use it. Incidentally, right now I'm pretty busy doing some repair work on 8 houses owned by the Central Building and Loan Company.
Well, there's an idea.
You bet. Many of them, in fact, most of them need paint. I suggest that you call on Mr. Anthony.
Mr. Benedict will give you a good job in your houses, Mr. Anthony. But you know there's nothing makes a house sell faster than styling it attractively with paint.
What kind of paint do you use?
Sherwin-Williams.
Sherwin-Williams, eh? We've used lots of it on our properties.
Then you know there's none better.
Mr. Newcomb, I think there's a lot in what you say, and I'm going to turn you over to our maintenance man.
Just think what that would mean to me. Every house that Charlie Benedict builds. And that includes the Rose Lane subdivision. And also the houses the Central Building and Loan are remodeling.
You could do it too, Bill.
Well, the only thing is that Mr. Benedict and Mr. Anthony don't know me and my work. That's where I'll need your help. You've got to tell them that I can handle the jobs.
I'll be glad to, Bill, and I'll mean every word of it.
Ah, thanks, Johnny. Johnny tells me you're going great guns. I can't complain. Everything is tip-top as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're doing a fine job, Bill.
Thanks, Tom. Incidentally, I'm thinking about building, and when I do, I want you fellas at the house warming.
We'll be there. Just try to keep us away.
What do you say, like it?
It's wonderful. A new home of our own, and in that beautiful new subdivision, too. Oh, Bill.
Break. To think I'd live to see my sister kissing a strange man.
Harry, what do you think? We're going to build a new house, and in Rose Lane, too.
Mr. Newcomb, Mrs. Newcomb, then you'll be interested in the Sherwin-Williams Paint and Color Style Guide. Packed, jammed, and running over with the hottest color combination you ever laid an eye on.